Ahava blessings. Welcome to this video. I'm so excited to be with you. Thank you for your time for listening, and thank you for being part of this community. So this week I wanted to talk about the Essenes, right? The Essenes, this powerful community, and we know that Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, Miriam of Magdala, they and others like Mother Mary and a lot of people in this Christ community, they studied with the Essenes. Now when I talk about the Essenes, we need to move away from the idea of certain sects of Essenes that were very patriarchal, that did not allow women in, because there are many of these different groups of Essenes, and it wasn't just one different group. They all had, especially after a while of being anchored here on the earth, they had different expressions, and also people who would go and study with the Essenes later created their own schools. So Yeshua and Mary Magdalene are part of the essence, the pure essence of the Essene teachings, not certain spiritual groups that later grew and didn't even allow the presence of women in their gatherings, right? In their community. So the Essenes, as many of you know, were very present in the time of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. They also, Mary Magdalene and Yeshua did study with them, their mysticism, as well as Hebrew mysticism and Egyptian mysticism. And the Essenes were a little bit different from every other spiritual expression in that time. The Essenes were white and they were vegetarian, and vegetarian because plant-based diets didn't exist then. This is something we do now, that's quite new, but they were vegetarian. They did have milk from the cow. They venerated the milk from the cow, as the cow did represent the energy of the Divine Mother as Hathor. But they were vegetarian. They did a lot of fasting. They would do these 40-day prayer and purification fasts of the body, where they would go in the desert or stay in one of the caves in the desert and just live off of dates and water with aloe. So they had many types of spiritual practice, and spiritual practice was very, very important for the Essenes. The Essenes used music, sound, and vibration to go into different states and different frequencies. They worked with the angelic realm, as we know, and they worked with different realms. They were very connected to the golden light of Lemuria, to the sound of Lemuria, and that pure energy and frequency. This is why they wore white, because white is all about expanding the energy field. When we wear white, we expand our energy field. So one of the things that I really wanted to talk about today was to tie in the experience of spiritual practice with how the Essenes lived spiritual practice. And then we can take this information and bring it to our modern day. Because one of the aspects of the Aquarian age is that we learn to unite the ancestral wisdom with the new wisdom that we are co-creating. So the ancestral wisdom is not the wisdom of a patriarchy. When I say patriarchy, I don't refer to men. I refer to a political system that has affected men and women, okay? But the ancestral wisdom and the magic, the wisdom, the medicine that our ancestors carried, that we became disconnected with. And so we want to unite this, and we want to understand what they did, because at the same time, we're going into this frequency right now. We're taking these practices, this wisdom, this knowledge, and we're doing something with it right now. And at the same time, we're living in a different moment. The planets are different. Of course, our evolution is different. So we need to understand how to bring these teachings and unite them with the new wisdom that we are co-creating. So the Essenes and their caves, there was found a lot of instruments, the drums, the tambourine, and different prayers to angels. So we know that they chanted, and they used movement to pray. So when you chant, of course, you're creating sound and you're creating vibration. And there are certain sounds and certain words that were used in the Aramaic language and in Biblical Hebrew that have a frequency that is the same as the frequency and vibration of our celestial origin, the creation and the light of creation that has no duality. So they use these frequencies, these sounds, and these prayers to connect with that energy. And also the angelic realm. And they also used certain postures that were connected with the Aramaic letters, and also not just postures but movement. They used to whirl like the Sufis were. That practice was very common in the Middle East, especially in the time of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. It later became known as Sufism, but it was very much practiced in that time. I'm still recovering from my voice, so excuse me. So they used the body, they used poses that were connected to the Aramaic letters, right? They used intention, they used sound, and they used instrument. So this was a very, very important part of their daily routine. And sometimes we can think, oh, they were very mystical, esoteric, and they didn't want to be on the planet in this 3D reality. Totally the opposite. They knew that to be here in our pure expression of the soul, they needed to connect with these practices and bring them into the body, embody them, and then express them on the earthly realm. And at the same time, they were planting specific seeds. They knew that with the energy that they were using, the prayers that they were doing, they were planting certain seeds on the earth. Just like the Lemurians, right, our beautiful ancestors from Mu, they would take crystals and they would activate the crystals and put them on different parts of the earth so that when humanity was ready, or it was the time and the prophecy of humanity, those crystals would be awakened. Isn't it interesting how we're all so into crystals more than before? I mean, 10 years, we knew maybe about 20 crystals, and now 100, 200 crystals come up with so many different properties, right? So that they knew that they were planting these seeds. And these seeds are very also connected to the essence of Lemuria, which is the divine love, the divine mother, Stella Maris, Mother Mary, just planting these seeds. So let's tie in the importance of their daily practice, of their spiritual practice, of how they prayed. And again, a reminder of how they prayed. They didn't sit and say a prayer and that's it. And that's okay, because that's prayer. But they also used the body. They knew that the body contained the infinite energy of the universe. So as above, so below, we contain what is above, inside of us. And they believed so much in the unseen. So even as you are listening to me and you're looking at me, there is so much more about me that is unseen than is seen, right? And this goes for all of us. So if we contain the infinite of the universe within us, if we contain the stars, the planets, the galactic center, the cosmic womb, we are infinite. So they believed that the more we aligned with our spiritual practice, we would open up to that infinite energy of who we are, and we would be infinite. So their prayer consisted of prayer, chanting, using the body through sacred dance, whether it be whirling, doing a lot of circle dances where they created the dynamic mandala, and also certain postures of the Aramaic letters. And these postures are the ones that I share in the Mary Magdalene Priestess and Priest training when we do the Magdalene Womb Yoga, which isn't just yoga, it's dance, it's music, it's chanting, it's holding these postures, it's awakening the cosmic womb and aligning with the frequencies of the Aramaic letter. I do believe that as we are in a new frequency, the body needs a body practice that is in the new frequency. So all of these different forms of prayer, and let's bring them into our life now. And let's understand what we can do with this. So in a lot of ancestral lineages and spiritual schools, we are taught to do our practice pre-dawn. Now, I firmly believe that we do our practice, our connection, our prayer when we have time. And the important thing is to do it. But there is something magical about doing your practice pre-dawn, which is before the sun comes up. And this is when they did their practice, and in India as well, and different places on our planet. This is when the spiritual practice was done. And the reason for this is because that is the moment when the darkness of the womb births the Christ, births the sun, births the light. So when we do our practice in this time, we're actually aligning with the energy of the cosmic mother, the Black Madonna, Mother Mary, whatever aspect you want to give or name you want to give to this experience and to this presence. We're connecting with that, and we're birthing the light within us. So we're actually having the opportunity to absorb the sun, the light of creation that has no duality. So just imagine doing this every day. Imagine waking up pre-dawn, even if it's 10 minutes before, and doing a prayer, doing a chant, moving your body, doing a sacred dance, anything that comes to you before the sun comes out. And if you're doing it 10 minutes, imagine 1 hour earlier. So you are absorbing the light of creation. And when we absorb the light of creation in that time, we are surrounded by the angels, by the light beings, and by the beautiful spirits, and the light, the beings that are here to guide us. So we spend our day radiating that energy. And as we do this, as the days pass, and maybe it's not something that's very easy to do every day, but we can start that maybe once a week and then twice a week. As we do more of this, there is a change in our life. There is a powerful change in our life, because as we are radiating this light of creation, we are that light. So we are creating with a light that has no duality. We're being with a light that has no duality. We are relating in our relationships, communicating with a light that has no duality. And this is our true origin, right? So imagine being here in your beautiful incarnation in this present moment, creating with the light of creation. And so we can take this beautiful teaching of the Essenes and many ancestral lineages and bring it to our present day life and start awakening pre-dawn, if we can, to start receiving this energy, to start receiving this light. And the more people that do this, the more people that awaken to do a prayer, to do a practice before the sun comes up, imagine how many of us will be holding the light of creation. And this also, knowing this, and knowing the different forms of prayer that the Essenes had, that Yeshua and Mary Magdalene experienced, we can find something that suits us. Maybe your prayer is reading sacred scripture. Maybe your prayer is dancing. Maybe your prayer is yoga, chanting, drumming, playing an instrument, writing, or just sitting in silence, or maybe you want to repeat a mantra. But taking that time to awaken before the sun comes up will allow us to absorb the sun, the Christ, the light that has no duality, the light of creation. So thank you so much. I hope that this video explained a little bit about the experience and also about what we practice in our school and why it's so important. And I hope it helps you to understand. And also, the more you align, I align, we align to a practice that we like, this is devotion. And devotion brings the presence of the Divine Mother in our life immediately. And when we have the presence of the Divine Mother in our life, there is a moment that we organically are rebirthed into our true humanity, which is our spiritual humanity, right? And then we know that we are held. We carry the fear that we carry disappears. We come into unity, and again, we hold the light. Thank you so much. If you want to comment, if you have any questions, please do so. Or you can email me at info@annaodero.net. Ahava.